Do you know how long it takes to form a first impression of a product? In his groundbreaking book, Blink, Malcolm Gladwell makes a case for how people make snap judgments based on very little information. Marketers estimate that window to be under 8 seconds. That's it. That's all the time you have before they scroll past, click away, or simply tune out. Earning attention is the first battle to win for any new product, and so in this video, I'm going to show you my 5-step framework for crafting a compelling, unique value proposition that helps your product stand out from the crowd. Hi there, if you're new to this channel, my name is Ash Maurya. I'm an entrepreneur and author and the creator of the popular one-page business modeling tool, Lean Canvas, used by millions of founders around the world. On this channel, I share systematic strategies and techniques for launching and growing a startup. So before I get into the framework, let me cover 3 reasons why crafting an attention-worthy unique value proposition is hard. The most common mistake I see is confusing a unique value proposition for features or benefits. I can't tell you how many times I've reviewed business model lean canvases where founders list things like, we have unique features, or we have the most features, or even the least features under their unique value proposition. These by themselves are usually not enough to grab attention because a good unique value proposition is not about your solution. Or more specifically, it's not about how your solution works, but what people get after using your solution. Think of it not as features or benefits, but the desired outcome people realize after using your product. And this brings me to the next challenge, scoping the desired outcome. When picking a desired outcome, how much should you promise? If you promise too little, you don't grab attention, but if you promise too much, your claim may be no longer believable. Andy Raskin gave this challenge a name, the Cinderella trade-off, because it can easily be illustrated with that fairy tale story, which you're probably familiar with. What promise should the fairy godmother make to Cinderella when she first meets her? 1. Attend the ball. 2. Marry royalty. Or 3. Live happily ever after. The last option here is the most aspirational, but also quite vague and less believable. The first option is quite functional and direct, but is it enough to grab attention? It's hard to pick the right answer here because the right answer largely depends on context, which brings me to the second mistake. Too many founders chase the perfect headline for their product, and this is particularly hard because a good headline needs to be simultaneously short and concise, novel or unique, and of course specific and believable. This leads to number 3, drowning in tactics. There are many ways to deliver a unique value proposition through an ad, on a landing page, in an elevator pitch, and if you double-click on any of these, you'll end up with a long list of tactics. A quick online search or AI query will reveal hundreds of hooks, taglines, and elevator pitch templates, which doesn't drive more clarity, but instead paralyzes us with a paradox of too many choices. The mistake here is over-indexing on the job of the solo headline. On a landing page, for instance, the headline never acts alone, but rather in concert with other supporting elements on the page, like subheadlines and images. And sure, copywriting and hook tactics can help tighten your headline, but your overall positioning strategy matters even more than these specific tactics. And that's what I want to focus on in the next section. Before drowning in a sea of tactics, it's far more effective to home in on your overall positioning strategy, which is what my 5-step framework is all about. Once you complete these 5 steps, you'll have the necessary raw ingredients to then remix them into an ad, landing page, or elevator pitch. So let's jump into them. Step 1, identify what it's for. Think of this as the core job or use case of your product. What it does, not how it does it. For example, when Tesla was building their first electric car, the primary or core job they were competing for wasn't sustainability, because while there was one other hybrid car, no one else had or cared about electric cars at that time. The bigger context here was still mobility or transportation. The reason I want you to go broader in this step is to unlock step number 2, identify existing alternatives. This is an often overlooked step that's critical to crafting a compelling unique value proposition. Grabbing attention requires being better, and better implies comparison to some alternative. You can't say you're better without saying better than what. And here's the critical misstep many founders make. When looking for an existing alternative, they limit their search only to products in their immediate product category. As there were no electric cars in 2006, Tesla could have declared they had no competition, which of course would have been a gross overstatement because people were buying other cars every day, and Tesla's real challenge was getting some of them to choose to buy their car instead. So a better way then to uncover your true competition is to transcend your supposed product category, in this case electric cars, and more generally look for what people use and buy to get the core job done. Then move on to step 3. Identify what's broken with these existing alternatives. Anchoring against problems with the status quo is the secret to crafting an effective unique value proposition that grabs attention and causes a switch, because it's specific, familiar, and compelling. But it's not enough to simply promise something that's incrementally better. If you're only incrementally better, the incumbent will always win. They win because they were here first and already have an established and trusted relationship with your customer. Going back to 2006, would you rather choose a car from Toyota or a new upstart company that had no history or experience with building cars? To cause a switch, then, your unique value proposition has to promise something significantly better, as in 3 to 10 times better. But of course, creating something 3 to 10 times better can be hard to pull off when competing on features the incumbents already have. And this is precisely why a much better strategy is to focus on things that your incumbents don't have, things that your customers still care about, and then go to extremes to find your differentiation, which is what step number 4 is all about. Craft a difference that causes a switch. In our example, Tesla picked 2 interrelated yet compelling axes for differentiation that mattered to their customers: sustainability and performance. At the time, you could buy a high-performing supercar, but these cars had very low sustainability. Or you could buy a hybrid, which had higher sustainability but lower performance. Tesla chose to go on extremes on both of these axes in order to position their first electric car, the Tesla Roadster, as the fastest, greenest car on the planet. The final step in the framework is step 5, identify who's it for. All new products need to home in on ideal early adopters, because if you try to market your product to everyone, you end up talking to no one. If you completed all the steps up until this point, a clear image of your ideal early adopter should automatically pop into your head. In the case of Tesla, this would be someone who cared about the environment and wanted to drive a high-performing sports car. So let's put it all together. With your ingredients all assembled, remixing them into an ad, landing page, or elevator pitch becomes a whole lot easier. This is what Tesla's first landing page looked like. The headline here is "Burn Rubber, Not Gasoline," which highlights the performance and sustainability axes are better. But so that this isn't taken out of context, notice also how they then list more bullet points in the subheadline. Remember that a headline alone doesn't have to carry all the weight. Supporting copy, images, and the overall design of the page all work together in concert to tell a story that grabs the attention of your ideal early adopter. These same ingredients can also be remixed together into a 30-second elevator pitch that you can use to hook anyone. If you'd like to learn how to do that, you should check out this video over here. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.